Hi, and welcome back to the channel. How do you bounce back from a terrible day? Have you bounced back from a terrible day? Or do you have trouble when you have a terrible day? What are some of the emotions that you may have when you have experienced a really bad day? You may feel discouraged. You may feel overwhelmed. You may feel like giving up and not wanting to face the next day, especially if the next day you're going to be in the same type of environment that you were on the day that you had such a terrible experience. So, how are you to bounce back from that? One of the things that I know for a fact is that the way we end our day is so important because it does impact our next day. There is a lot of power placed on how we start our day, and I do know that it's important how we start our day. But the way we start our day often is impacted by the way we end our day because we take that tone of how we end our day into the next day, especially if we're not aware. We just pick up where we left off. And think about that if you've ever had a partner, a husband, or a wife that you have argued with the night before, and it's just you ended the day on that argument, and then when you wake up in the morning, you give yourself a few seconds, and then you're thinking right back on how that night ended, and those emotions come right back up. And so I want to talk to you about a technique that can be really powerful that you can apply to your life, because it's one thing to know something, but knowing is not enough. When we know something and then we apply it to our life, then we can see how this impacts us, how you can see the benefit from it, and it can be the motivation to continue to do that when you feel and see that it's been very helpful in overcoming some challenges that you are experiencing. And before we get started in that, I would like for you to hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button. And let's talk about it. So the person that I really have gotten this technique from is no longer living. His name is Neville Goddard. And I really like Neville Goddard. He was a writer, a speaker, and a mystic because he really talked about the power that you have within yourself. The power of using your mind to be able to affect your circumstances. And it's powerful because we are already using the power of our mind, and our mind is already impacting what we're experiencing all around us. I think the problem with that is right now, many of us in this world, and I know this has been my experience in the past, I've done this too, has been that I've used my mind in a way that wasn't powerful and wasn't beneficial to me because I wasn't aware, and I was having experiences that were not what I wanted because I put my mind on those things. So this technique is a technique I really want you to write down the steps or take a mental note and to really give this a try in your day. And so, as I mentioned, when we start our day, the way we start our day is important, but the way we end our day is going to help support also how we start our day. So the way that you will utilize this technique is as you get in bed, this will be the last thing that you do before you drift off to sleep. When you lay in bed, you are going to think about your day. You're going to think about what happened in your day that you didn't like. What happened in your day that really is the thing that made your day so bad, that made your day what you would define as terrible. And when you think about that, this is the opportunity to rewrite the script in your mental script, to rewrite and correct what happened that day. And so, an example, if your day consisted of being at work and you got an evaluation from your manager and the evaluation was really bad, the way that you would correct this is when you're laying with your eyes closed and imagining this, because it's all about our imagination first, is that you would correct all the details of that negative evaluation you received. When your manager calls you into the office, he's actually praising you rather than critiquing your work in a negative way. He's praising your work. He's giving you accolades. He's giving you a bonus, whatever these like behaviors or actions are that this manager would have taken that would make you feel really good is what you're going to correct the day and that moment as being. And the key to this also is when you reimagine and correct it in your mind the way you would have wanted the day to go, you want to make sure that you connect to the emotions of how that felt. You want to be very detailed in your mind about the specifics on what was said or what's going on around you to make the experience more real. So there are several things that this would do. First and foremost, when we are thinking about something in our mind and we experience the emotions of that, we give our body the ability to release chemicals that align with those emotions. Because this is proven that what you think on and the emotions you experience, your body does release chemicals toward that. So if you're experiencing and thinking about something that you do want, you connect to how that would feel. And, those are the moments where you might even smile to yourself or you feel the happiness in that. And your body releases positive chemicals like the serotonin, or the oxytocin, these chemicals that are about connection, that are about joy and happiness, that, cause us to relax, that decrease our anxiety. And if you really think about it, we do this more with our negative emotions. You could probably relate to it because if you're like most people, you've had an experience where you thought about something that you didn't like, that made you angry or made you afraid. And when you think on that, you literally feel that in your body, especially when you are thinking of things that make you fearful. You feel that in your body. And the thing hasn't happened yet. The thing that you fear hasn't happened. But what you do is you think about it and you release chemicals, but you release more stress chemicals like cortisol. And cortisol really plays a very detrimental role in all of our lives when it's released constantly. And it's all the time because we're always worrying. We're thinking about the thing that we're afraid of. Even though it didn't happen, our body is responding as if it did. Cortisol has so much impact on our mental health, but also our physical health. It impacts our stress levels. It impacts our body's response to stress. It impacts diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure and cancer, and it impacts us with anxiety and autoimmune diseases because we are chronically in a state of worry or high alert when we're worrying. And when we're worrying, we're constantly releasing this cortisol into our body. And so literally, when we're thinking about things and worrying about things that haven't happened yet, we are impacting our body in a negative way. But although that is true, and that tends to be the thing we do more easily, we have this power to utilize that same technique, but flip it for what it is that we really want. So if your day was a day that was bad for whatever reason, that manager gave you a bad review, you rewrite that as something positive so that your body can create chemicals that are positive, that help you with relaxation. That help to also put your focus on what it is you want and to move into the next day with your focus on what it is that you want. Even if we are in a situation where we have, for example, gotten a negative critique about a manager, you're always able to look at that, reevaluate it. If it's something that you can do better, you can do it, but you can do it from a space of optimism because you're working and looking toward what it is you want, as opposed to moving from a place of fear of more of the same happening that you don't want. And so I really encourage you to try this technique. Just to think about your day. If it's something that happened that you didn't like, you didn't want to happen, to recreate that in your mind and to connect with the emotions of that and let that be the last thing you do when you go to sleep so that you can set the tone for how you drift into your sleep, how you wake up in the next day. Remembering to keep your mind on the last thing that you thought about, which is what it was that you wanted in the first place. That's what I have today. Again, I would like for you to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like this video. If this video was helpful, also share it with someone who you think could benefit. And I'll be back next week. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful day. Bye.